Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Heisman Talk, your number one source of college football news on YouTube. I'm Nate Dogg here with my co-host, Evan Air D. Jackson, to break down week 4 of our game day pick'em predictions. D, it's good to be back. How are you?
I'm doing good, Nate. It is good to be back, ready to, get my record to be better in these pick'ems. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, D, I mean, the first few weeks that we picked, we've done decent. I know we haven't even discussed the last couple of weeks where our record stands, so we'll jump right in first with that. D, through 3 weeks, obviously we know you are 9-8, and I'm at 11-6. But D, things could change this week as we're about to predict some games that are really a coin flip in terms of points favorited and who could win these matchups. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Our first game of the week is going to be Missouri at Boston College. This is a 12 o'clock kickoff on ESPN2. Missouri favored by 2. And D, might I mention, this is the first time in these schools' history that they played against each other. So this is a great non-conference matchup, both for the SEC and ACC. So D, who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, Nate, this game is a really, really tight game. I think it's a 2-point spread, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very tough to pick. We got a lot of games like that this week. Ultimately, I chose to go with Boston College. I think that, Boston College, has the better offense. They're a pretty good defensive team, but I do think they have a better offense than Missouri has. And so that's why I went with Boston College.
D, it looks like we're going to disagree right out of the gates. So Missouri comes into this game 2-1. They had a devastating loss in week 2 to Kentucky. Boston College comes into this game undefeated. But the biggest question for me is, can Boston College prove themselves in the pass game? They lost their starting quarterback in week 1. Doesn't look like he's going to be back for this game, so they'll have to rely on senior Dennis Grazel to make things happen. And secondly, can Missouri stop the run? They allowed over 200 yards on the ground versus Kentucky. I think Missouri bounces back. I think Missouri gets the win on the road in Boston College. Give me the Tigers in game 1. So then, D, we go to our next game, and this is a surprising game for a lot of people. We usually pick, top 25 team games, but we decided to mix it up a little bit this week and go with more of a mid-tier team, or teams, I should say, where UTSA Roadrunners take on the Memphis Tigers in Memphis. This is a 3:30 kickoff on ESPNU. Memphis favored by 3 in this one. D, who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, man, like you said, we're picking group of 5 teams for the first time. 2 group of 5 teams. My friends keep telling me, we don't give enough love to the group of 5 teams, but so here we go, man. It's a very, very tight matchup. Both teams are pretty balanced teams. UTSA is a good team. They've won, I think, 6 out of their last 7 games dating back to last year. So it's going to be a really, really tough game. Memphis just came off of a victory against Mississippi State. I'm going to go with UTSA. I think that their dual threat quarterback will be able to evade and make plays and, make the plays necessary to get UTSA the victory and to keep them on the winning track. So I'm going to go with Karis and UTSA.
D, both teams come into this game 3-0. And as I mentioned earlier, this is another game where both teams are playing against each other for the first time in school history. We know that UTSA started in, I think, 2011. With their football program, so fairly new. And shout out to all my family in San Antonio, including the one and only Uncle Buck. You know who you are. So shout out to Uncle Buck. Some of the questions that I have for this game is, Memphis coming off a big win from Mississippi State, like you said. How can they handle winning, right? A lot of teams get that big win and they kind of celebrate too much. We saw Texas beat out against Louisiana and kind of laid an egg against Arkansas the next week. Quarterback Seth Hennigan for Memphis, going to be a really, really tough task for UTSA's defense. However, I'm going to take the road runners as well in this game. Hard to pick against them. They've got a lot of momentum moving forward, not just this year, but with their program. They've got a great head coach. Give me UTSA in this one.
Nice.
So we go to the great state of Texas, where we have a neutral siting game. We have number 7 Texas A&M taking on the number 16 Arkansas Razorbacks. This is a 3:30 kickoff on CBS. A&M currently favored by 5.5. Like I said, neutral siting. This game will be played in Arlington, Texas, at AT&T Stadium, also known as Jerry's World. A&M's won the last 9 consecutive games in this matchup against Arkansas. Will this be number 10? Who do you have winning this game?
Man, this one is another tough one to pick, man. We've talked about, Sam Pittman and Arkansas, and, how they have, Barry Odom as the defensive coordinator and Kendall Browse as the offensive coordinator. So they have a great coaching staff over there, and they play very hard. Texas A&M is the better team defensively. I think that they can shut down KJ Jefferson in that offense. It's just very tough, man. My heart wants to go Arkansas. My mind wants to go Texas A&M. I'm gonna go with my heart, man. Arkansas. I'm picking Arkansas. Yeah, man. I'm picking Arkansas and Sam Pittman to go in and upset Texas A&M. I think Sam Pittman will have those guys ready. They play like they'll run through a wall for him, and so I'm gonna go with Arkansas to win this game.
Like I mentioned earlier, A&M has won the last 9 games in this matchup dating back to 2012. Could this be number 10? A&M has an amazing defense, like you said. They've held opponents to a combined 17 points in the first 3 games, which is really impressive, no matter who you're playing against. The question mark for me is the offense. Haynes King, their starting quarterback, gets hurt early on in the season. Now they rely on their backup in Calzada. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think KJ Jefferson has done a tremendous job in running that Razorback offense. I've got one word. Yes, sir. Give me Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks in an upset win in Jerry's World to continue on their road to the SEC championship. It's going to be a great game. We shall see. Moving on to the next, we have Nebraska at number 20, Michigan State. Again, another great matchup. 7 o'clock kickoff on Fox Sports 1. Michigan State favored by 5 in this one. We saw Nebraska play toe-to-toe with Oklahoma, and we also saw Michigan State come off of a huge win at Miami this past week. Who gets the nod in this one?
Yeah, Nate, this game here, man, it's another tough one to pick. I think it's going to be a better game than most people think. Michigan State is coming off of a huge win, and so it can really be a trap game for them. A game like this coming off of a win against Miami, a ranked team, and you just went in there and really dominated them. Will it be a letdown, game? I don't think so. I think Mel Tucker will have those guys ready to play. The physicality they play with, the mentality that they play with, I think will carry them through this game. And I think Michigan State Spartans will win this game.
Let me just note that the Nebraska Cornhuskers have won the last 2 matchups when playing Michigan State. Both were in Lincoln, Nebraska, 2015 and 2018. But let me tell you what, Mel Tucker was not the head coach of Michigan State Spartans when Nebraska beat them. That's going to be the difference maker in this game. Give me the Spartans. I just think Nebraska's got maybe a bright future. They looked good against Oklahoma, but I just think Michigan State's defense is just way too good. They had De'Aaron King under pressure all game last week, and I think they're going to do the same thing against Nebraska with Adrian Martinez, with the exotic zone blitzes. And also, I think running back Kenneth Walker is going to have a huge game against the Cornhuskers defense. I'm having him with over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Like I said, give me the Spartans to cover the spread in this one.
Yeah, man. Kenneth Walker's a beast, man. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. So then we head out back to the Midwest, where we get another great matchup. 2 teams that we really haven't talked about this season. Number 25, Kansas State Wildcats go on the road in Stillwater to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. This is a 7:00 kickoff on BIG12 Network or ESPN+. Oklahoma State is currently favored by 6 points. D, who do you have winning this close matchup?
Man, another tough one. You got Kansas State coming in. They're the ranked team. They're ranked 25th. They're the more balanced team. And so it's like, do you choose the more balanced team or do you choose an Oklahoma State team that's a better team defensively? It's very, very tough. They do say defense wins championships, and I'm going to go with defense. On this one, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. A big reason why, they're at home, and, playing in that, environment. I really think they're going to be hyped and ready to go. And, I think that defense is going to come through. As long as they can score points offensively, I think that they'll come away with the victory.
D, I definitely think this is going to be a classic Big 12 shootout where we just see a lot of points on offense. Both defenses are decent. Right now, the over-under is 46 points. I don't know why it's that low. I think it's going to be at least 58. Like you said, home field advantage in Stillwater. The sticks will be slapping against the wall. Another great thing is the 2 quarterbacks in this game. We saw Skylar Thompson go down early for Kansas State, and steps Will Howard, sophomore. And let me tell you what, D, this is a key matchup for the quarterbacks. I call it the skyscrapers of the Midwest. You got Will Howard for Kansas State, who stands at 6'4", 235 pounds. And then on the other side of the ball for the Cowboys, you have quarterback Shane Ellingsworth, who stands at a mere 6'6", 230 pounds. So that's some pretty tall boys on the field for this matchup. But D, when it comes down to it, I think Will Howard's played great stepping in for the Wildcats early. He's shown that he's a dual threat guy. Deuce Vaughn standing at a mere 5'6", 172 pounds at tailback. But let me tell you what, this guy reminds me a lot of some of the guys in the past who have gone through the Kansas State program. I think the Wildcats get the upset in this one. Give me Kansas State. I think it's a close one. I think they take it real close, but I think Kansas State comes out on top.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a close one. So definitely tune into that one. It'll be a good game.
Absolutely. So D, then we go to our game of the week. You're there. You're at Soldier Field. I got the helmets behind me. Notre Dame versus Wisconsin. Number 12 Notre Dame versus number 18 Wisconsin. This is a neutral siting game at Soldier Field in Chicago. D, let me just mention, well, first off, this is a 12:00 kickoff on Fox. Wisconsin favored by 6. And when you think of 2 teams like Notre Dame and Wisconsin, you think of college football tradition and history. I mean, these are 2 programs that date back to really the very beginning of when college football was coming about, in the 1900s. But D, let me just mention, this is the first time that these 2 teams have played against each other since 1964. So this is really going to be a great matchup between 2 programs with such rich history. And I wanted to note that
Sheriff Arsigian has come up with a pass-catch combination that's likely to make headlines. John Hewitt lays it on the line to Jack Snow, and the Irish close their scoring parade with a 42-yard touchdown. The final score is Notre Dame 31, Wisconsin 7. The impressive triumph is a tribute to new head coach Ara Parsegian, and this victory may indicate Notre Dame is back on the road to national prestige.
That Wisconsin comes off of a bye week. The Irish have not played well offensively in the past 3 games. D, who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, man. Like you said, 2 storied programs, with rich in tradition. This year, Notre Dame, they haven't shown us much on offense, but I think that they are the more balanced team in this matchup. I came into the year thinking Graham Mertz was going to be a little bit better than he's shown, but Wisconsin has a very good defense. They gave up 16 points against Penn State. They lost to Penn State, but Penn State's a good team, and we've seen Wisconsin, have a test, and now we get to see how Notre Dame fares in that test. This is kind of a test for me because, Notre Dame's probably the more balanced team, but Wisconsin has the defense, kind of like Oklahoma State. So I'm going to pick defense again, man. I'm going with defense. Like I said, defense wins championships. They do say offense wins games, so maybe I should go offense. But I'm going to go with defense, and I'm going to go with Wisconsin to pull the upset over Notre Dame in Soldier Field, where I'm at right now.
D, this is a really intense game, not only because of the rich tradition, but might I mention too, Jack Cohen played for Wisconsin last year. Graham Mertz wins the starting spot, and Jack transfers to Notre Dame. This is his turn to come back and prove himself as the better quarterback, as is Graham Mertz's chance to prove that, hey, you made the right choice for Wisconsin. Graham Mertz has not had one single touchdown pass this whole season yet. Not one. But the Badgers have proven themselves on defense. D, I think the Badgers get it done in this one. Give me Wisconsin to win this game. D, this is the first game back for Leo Chanel. We talked about him in the preseason, linebacker for Wisconsin. I just think Wisconsin's defense is just going to be too tough for that Notre Dame Fighting Irish offense. They've struggled against teams that aren't even expected to have 500 seasons. I think Wisconsin gets it done. They get the upset, well, in terms of rankings, and they move right along. Notre Dame's going to have a tough schedule coming up against a few teams, including Cincinnati. I'm taking the Wisconsin Badgers in this game. Let's go.
Nice. Yeah, I agree, man. I think Wisconsin will pull it out, man. So we'll see.
We shall see. Indeed, with that being said, that's a wrap for today's Pick'ems. When we come back next week, we're going to have a recap of Week 4 and another slate of games for Week 5 and our Week 5 Pick'ems that you won't want to miss out on. I can promise you that. So until then, make sure to subscribe down below. Give this video a big thumbs up. Click that bell notification so you stay up to date with our latest videos. And as always, this is Nate Dogg and D signing off.